Morning, guys and girls. Just a quick intervention before the video starts. I need to have a haircut and a face cut. Anyway, I was asked by, anyone who knows me knows that I go to Bridge Classic Cars quite a bit. They do a lot of shows and open days and coffee mornings. And they asked if I would like to be interviewed. I don't know why they'd want to interview me, but they did. And it has now gone live on their website. So hang on. So here it is. Just asking me some questions. Got some photos, more questions, just about how I got into what I do and my hobby and everything malarkey like that. So I'll stick the link on the bio, so feel free to take a look. And yeah, let me know what you think. Right, so I'm having a quick look at this Panda 4x4. Never seen a new shape one in person before, but this is a friend who took it green laning, and now the oil light come on and it died, so it looks like it's done the engine. So I'm just taking the underneath off to try and just get a turn on the pulley and see whether it's seized or what, without having to try and start it. But I've got enough mud here to try and dispose of. Oh dear, things I do. Right, we're going to see if we can give it a turn. We've got the access plate off. Ooh. Oh, no. Yeah, that's definitely seized. I've now just cut the belt just to make sure that it's not something else that's seized. No. There you go. We are solid as a rock. Oh, we've got a little bit of a turn, but... oh, oh. Oh. It's turning. Oh. Well, you know what that means. We've got to try and turn it over, see what happens. Right, let's have a look. Right, I've just checked the oil and there's oil in it. So let's see what happens now. Yeah, that don't sound good, does it? Not very nice, not very good. Something's not happy. Oh, it just stopped again. Yeah, I think that's a new engine, but right, just to show it wasn't the aux belt. That's free. Oh, that's free. Tensioner's free, and yeah, the alternator's free. So, yeah. New engine time. Right, so the Chuckle cousins have been here, Simon and Nick, to drop this beauty off. It is a 2007 Fiat Punto. And I'm getting straight on it, draining the coolant, because he's come from, where did he say he's come from? Wales, near Wales. Well, Crewe, that was it, Crewe. It's a Welsh car, but it's come from Crewe today. So the coolant is nice and warm, so I'm just letting that drain out while I crack on with something else. And then we'll get off the shafts and the exhaust, etc. from underneath while it's in the air. But we'll leave that to drain for a while. Well, everything's undone under here. Exhaust is gone. It actually slapped at this flexi when I undone it. I managed to get the Stabiliser mount undone, but obviously because that's still on, that won't come out, so that's all right, it's now loose. Had to pull that shaft out. I could not undo that nut. I whacked it with hammer and a chisel, big old ratchet, big old breaker bar, wouldn't undo. So I've pulled the shaft out the hub, out the box, sorry. Managed to get that ball joint undone, that was fine. This side, it snapped and wouldn't move, so I had to cut the lower arm. Again, I had to cut both track rod ends because they wouldn't undo. And this shaft is out of the hub, obviously. So that's all done down here, and obviously we've drained the water. So up here, the fuel pipes are off, the ECU's unplugged, the airbox is out, the battery's out. I've got a couple more plugs, the matrix hoses and the header tank, and I think we are ready. Oh, and the gear selector cables, and we're ready to drop it out. So it's pretty much another half hour and it'll be out, but I'm going to call it a day for today and come back tomorrow. Well, done the last few bits. Got the battery box out so I can see the gearbox mount. Undone that red power cable off the distribution block. Brake vacuum. Gearbox earth and reverse sensor. Gear cables just popped off. Aircon was empty, so I was able just to pull the pipes off. They're just push connector. You just push the things and pull them off. Fuel lines, I said I've already done. Header tanks come out the way, and the last couple of water hoses are disconnected. So I think now we're just undoing the mounts and dropping it on the pallet. So let's give that a go. And there she is, out and on the pallet. It was a bit more awkward than planned. I had to end up getting the engine crane out because it was just too wide with the shafts in place and the leftover shaft to get past. Oh, I've got to point the camera, haven't I? Past these bits here. So it was a bit awkward. So I had to get the engine crane out just to lift it, give it a twist, and then drop it out. So we're there. Now I think the Panda's going to be a bit more awkward because obviously it's a much smaller car and it's got the four-wheel drive system in it, etc, etc. So I think what we're going to have to do is get this on the trailer and off the ramp, get the Panda in, have a look around it. We'll probably have to take off quite a bit more. Again, we've got to obviously try and keep everything on there and not damage anything, so it's going to have to be a slower, more careful process. So yep, I need to get this on the trailer and get the Panda inside. So that's the next job for tomorrow, probably. Right, we got the Panda in the workshop on the lift. Right, with this, I think it's going to be a very similar setup, although to make our life a bit easier, taking note of the Punto, I think we're going to drop the subframe. Might seem a little excessive, but if I, oh hang on, let me try and get this shining on there. Right, so if I take the exhaust off somehow, there's so much mud on the floor in here already. Get the exhaust off down the car, get the prop shaft undone, then undo the anti-roll bar links, undo the shock to hub bolts, take the calipers off and hang them from the struts, both sides, undo the hub nut so the drive shaft will come out the hub, undo the subframe bolts, so this one, this one, this one. I think that one goes through as well, does it? No, it doesn't actually. So it's that one, and there's probably at least one more. And then obviously drop this mount out of the way as well, and I think we'll drop that subframe out so I have the hubs, no brakes, no shafts and no struts. Drop that out of the way, and then I've got all the room for the engine to come down. I think that's going to be the way. Yeah, so it's a bit different here. As you can see, obviously we've got the gearbox, but then there's a transfer box on the back to take the PTO shaft or the prop shaft. So I think that is what we're going to do. So let's get cracking. Well, I've made a start on the Panda. I've got the battery box out. That also holds the ECU. The ECU had a little earth on it, so can't forget that. Got the battery tray out again so I can get to the gearbox mount, and it looks like the cables. Obviously it's a lot smaller engine bay, so it's a bit more hard to get to everything. I haven't unplugged or got the water hoses off yet. They've got clips on that I can't work out how they come undone. I don't know if you push them and they're quick release, or you pull them and they're quick release, but I've tried both and it doesn't come off. So I need a bit more research there. This oil filter cover is missing a nut. So we've got intercooler hoses that go off down there. They've got to come off. Top rad hose here, bottom rad hose, and another smaller rad hose down there are the ones that have got the clips on I can't quite undo yet. We've got aircon pipes on the aircon compressor. Again, I've checked, there's no gas in this, so it's obviously got a leak, so I haven't got to worry about having it removed. And then we've got to sort out matrix pipes and various bits and pieces, but I'm just going to go methodically and slowly and carefully to make sure I don't miss anything. Right, I've also undone this loom. It's on the ABS system and another plug on the brake reservoir. So that's unplugged and that moves right out the way. I've taken off the black box. Again, it's got the same connector as the Panda did on the bottom of it. So that's over here. I've pulled the little pin out of the circlip out of the clutch master, or slave, sorry, clutch slave, and pulled the pipe out and released it from its hole down there. I've unplugged the reverse light switch there. I've got the top rad hose off. I also got the bottom rad hose off the engine. I just broke that clip open. So what I'll do, I'll obviously leave that hose in there as the engine comes out and see how it comes off the rad when there's nothing in the bay. And then I could just put a normal hose clip back on that. What else have we got to do? Oh, that's that earth off the ECU, mustn't forget that. So next will be intercooler pipes, which I'll probably do from underneath. Is that loose? No, that's bolted down. So yeah, I'll take that off the intercooler down there. And then next to be the gear cables. They've got retaining clips. I don't know if you could actually see in there, but there's little retaining clips that hold them in the thing, and then the ball joints just pop off. So I'll do that next. Right, I've got the dog bone mount out, so that's out the way. I think I showed you the prop off. It was just Allen bolts. So now this is, once we get the, oh yes, hub nut. You need a thin walled 36mm. I've got fat walled or a shallow, and the shallow is too shallow to get on there. It's for a mini. So I've got to order one of those. So when that arrives, we undo them, lower the subframe, and we should be able to get it out. The only issue I'm worried about is the prop, is getting it past the prop. But once the subframe's out the way, I'll be able to get to all the gear cables a lot easier. So yes, that is the plan. But I am now worrying about this prop shaft, whether I should actually just take the whole prop shaft off so it's out the way. It might be sensible. So just by loosening the middle enough, gave us loads of room, so I don't need to take the whole prop off. That can obviously be lowered and go out of there, no problem at all. So that's that sorted. I need to get in the car and undo the rack from the column. There we go, 13mm taking out the steering column. I've also spun it around and give the clamp a bit of a tap with a bar and a hammer, just so, pry bar and a hammer, just to spread it open a bit, so hopefully it will, the rack will fall out of the column quite easily now. Okay, so back up top, I've undone this this top hose from the header tank, this fuel pipe from the fuel filter. I can't see another pipe going anywhere that's part of that, so it must just be the one. There's this loom that goes around the back of the engine and comes up and goes into the fuse box here, into that plug. So that's undone and away. Yeah, I think we're there, really. What I need to do now is get that hub socket, get the shafts unbolted, and then we'll drop the subframe and see where we sit from there. So let's leave this for now until that socket arrives. Another one I noticed is this live, which I presume goes to start motor. I can't see, but it goes around the back of the engine. So I'm just going to separate these two wires just to be on the safe side. Found the other fuel pipe, I think. It comes off the regulator, fuel rail, sorry. Comes up round down to the car, and it is just that push clip connector there with the green buttons. So just push them green buttons and pull it off. Subframe's out. The forwardmost bolts that went in up here were 18mm and these ones were 21mm. So that's out. It was a bit awkward getting it past the prop, or the diff should I say, because it wanted to tilt this forwards because of the struts on top. So it made it a bit awkward. So what I'll probably do is strip this subframe down a bit before I put it back in. Probably just get the, maybe get all the lower arms and the hubs and stuff off. And it's just a matter of lifting up the subframe and bolting in and then adding everything to it. I think that's probably the best way to go. It's out though, you live and learn. Right, next we can get to them gear cables, matrix hoses, and then we can drop the engine. Right, so as you can see, with the subframe out of the way, we've got loads of room to get to the gear cables, so that was worth waiting for. And we've got to get to the matrix pipes up there somehow. I'll look at those in a minute. First off, the gear cables. And there we are, it's out. Very, very simple with the subframe out of the way. Just literally on the pallet, lifted the car. Simple as that. So, let's get the gearbox off and put it side by side with the other engine and see what we need to swap over. Right, we've got a few things to change over. This is the Punto engine. As you can see, the engine mount is slightly different. This has a cutout for bolts to go through, whereas the Panda has studs on it and it's a different shape. We need to change, obviously, the gearbox and then have a look at different pipes and wiring looms for fitment, obviously, in a different car. So first of all, I need to get the gearbox off the donor engine from the Punto. That's the first job. Decided to do it bit by bit, so while the gearboxes are both on, it'd be more sensible when they're stable to change bits and pieces while they're like this. So I'm going to start from this side of the engine and go over. So far I've changed the engine mount over, and I'm changing the water pump now because the one on the donor engine has got a cracked end and that won't last very long. This one's a metal pulley on the Punto, on the Panda, so I'm putting this back on the Punto engine. The aircon pumps look the same. No, they don't. No, I've got to change the aircon pumps. They look the same body but got different fittings, so I'll do that first. Do the water pump first, and I'll do the aircon. The pumps are different, as are the brackets that hold them on. So I've got them off the Panda engine, ready to go on to the Punto engine. Right, I've just changed the entire loom because one plug was different, but I'd rather do that just in case. Also, the starter motor live feed, that had to be changed. And I've just noticed this fuel pipe here also has to be changed because we don't have this on the Punto, no Panda, so I've got to just change that pipe over as well. I've actually just noticed the whole fuel rail is different. It's not just this pipe, because obviously this is different, that goes to all the injectors. And over here, as you can see, we have this pipe off here and the injector one is different. So we've got to change it all. Right, well that is the fuel rail. All the fuel pipes, because the fuel pipes that link the injectors to the fuel rail were different as well. And the fuel delivery system is changed. I just hope the injectors are all right. I wonder whether they're coded. We might have to look at that, either have them recoded or take the ones out of there, but I ain't going to do it now because they look quite awkward to get out. So I'll hope for the best. I won't scrap that engine until this one's running. So, right, lunchtime I think. Right, gearbox is off the Panda engine. That was doddle, not a problem at all. Now I've got to get it off the Punto engine. I've got all the pipes that I need to put back on the Punto engine before it goes in the Panda, but I'm leaving them off so they're out of the way of the gearbox. So, yeah, that's off. So let's get the gearbox off that engine. Right. Clutch, flywheel, starter motor, gearbox, transfer box, pipes, everything changed. It's taken me all frickin' day, but it's done. Let's just hope I haven't forgot anything when it's time. Oh no, when it's time to go in the car. I think I'm going to leave it for tonight and come back with a fresh face tomorrow. Right, that'll do for tonight. There we go, and it's back in. Just lifted it straight up on the pallet truck, bolted it in. Job's a good one. Obviously the stability mount isn't on, so that's why it's caught up a little bit. So now we can go around and connect everything back up. So it's pretty much reversal of removal. Right, so it runs, but only when I bridge the starter. I've tested this wire here, which is the starter from the key, and it gets 12 volts when you turn the key, but it's not firing the starter. When I bridge it, it is. So I'm wondering whether this has got a bad connection. It's not, because what this slips over the top of that, and the connection is this. Oh, this ring slips over the top of this collar, and it sits against the body here. So I'm wondering whether it's not actually touching it, and that's what's causing it. So I'm going to have a cup of tea, and then I'm going to clean them both up and see what happens from here. I'm just going to try, I don't know, taping it on there, you know, like getting it tight on there and put some tape over it just to hold it in place and see whether I can just get it to flick on the key. Otherwise, I don't really know what else it could be. But as I say, bridge it with a screwdriver, fire straight up. Right, we've cleaned the surfaces up and I've secured it on tight with a cable tie. So let's see what happens. Yes. Yes. Right, so it's just a dodgy connection. Right, with the proper holder back on the back of the starter motor, this bit here, it won't work. With the wires cable tied on the starter, starts on the key. So this obviously isn't pushing it home properly, but I don't understand why. I've pulled all the connectors, like there's like spring washers on the back. I've bent all them back out, so there's plenty of spring in them, but it's just not working. I can't get my head around it. Has my latest fix worked? Yes, it has. Right, the reason was I got the other starter motor out, the one off the Punto, and this just had this washer and nothing else, whereas the other one had an extra nut on it. That wasn't allowing it to tighten up enough to make contact. Take that nut off, have it the same as this one, job's a good one. Right, got both struts off, hubs, anti-roll bar link, so I've now just got the subframe to put in. That'll make it a lot easier to get that fitted in, and then obviously the legs can just go on afterwards. So let's get that in place now. That's the subframe back on. It was nice and easy with the transmission lift, just lifted it up in place, bolted it in. Done the prop as well, that's all back together, that's fine. Dog mount obviously is in as well, stability mount, whatever you want to call it, is there. So let's get the hubs and struts back on, I think. And we're all back together, almost. The ABS sensor on this side has, can't really see, but snapped. So I'm just going to go and have a look and see if the Punto one is the same, otherwise I'm going to have to order one. Right, well, the exhaust is now back on. The steering column is bolted back up. We've got water in it, no coolant. Well, there is coolant, like residue coolant in it, but I've just topped it with water just to make sure it's continent. So I'll leave it over the weekend now just to make sure it doesn't lose its water. I'll order an ABS sensor on Monday, bleed the clutch Monday, and we should be good to go. So, from me and the little Panda 4x4, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you next week in another video. Cheers, guys.